Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our Magic 2014 Duels of the Planeswalkers Let's Play series. Today we're going to be looking at Sealed Play. In our previous installment, I did a high-level overview of all the features in the game, and then we jumped into a duel in the single-player campaign. Today it's all about the Sealed Play mode. This is a key feature of Magic 2014, and a little bit of history. It's pretty much the first time us as players have been able to build a deck, a Magic deck from scratch. And if you're not familiar with what Sealed Play is, in sort of like the regular world of Magic, you have what's called limited format tournaments. And what really happens, and we'll just talk about sealed. When you go into a sealed tournament, you go into your store, you get yourself usually about 6 booster packs, and so you have 6 packs of randomized cards. You break them open, and then you have a certain amount of time to put together a 40 card deck with which to play in the tournament. All the other players are doing the same thing. Then you go at it. In the tournament, you tally up your wins and losses, and at the end of the tournament there is a winner declared and you have a bunch of prizes given out. It is a lot of fun. It really it requires a different set of skills as opposed to playing standard constructed Magic where you just homebrew a deck at home, or you look up a deck off the internet and you put a 60 card deck together that's full of the most powerful cards. There's a certain archetype that you follow, and then you're playing against other constructed decks. It's a very different feel because you are definitely improvising a lot more. You need to have a good knowledge of the cards in the sealed environment, but you're really more flying by the seat of your pants, and I think it captures the spirit of Magic really well, where you're just given a limited set of options and you're just trying to make do with what you got. Do the best that you can with what you got, and it really adds a new wrinkle to Magic. So with that preamble out of the way, let's just jump into Sealed Play. It's located under the single player menu. And as you can see here, I've already done a campaign playthrough using my sealed deck, and yes, indeed, it is an awesome deck of 40 cards. I went with red and white, and before we actually do a sealed campaign match using a fresh pool of cards, I'll just jump into my existing deck so you can check out the deck builder interface. We're going to edit. Alright, so don't ask me why I decided to name my deck Cream Chili. So we'll just start at the top and work our way down the screen. Nice little feature they put in was the ability to name your deck and to pick a deck box for your deck. This is all very cool. Now the thing that's not so cool is that the deck box art is essentially just the avatar portraits. So yeah, there's nothing really new going on with the deck boxes. It's very superficial, and they didn't even put in any extra effort to create some new art to actually make some interesting deck boxes. Because how cool would it have been to build some nice themed deck. So you have a Weenie's token deck that's white and green, and actually pick some art for your deck box that would reflect the theme of your deck. But as it stands, nice little first step towards customizing this whole thing. We're gonna go back, and at the very top here it just has the summary of my deck. Now this deck strength thing here gives you a nice little breakdown of what your deck is looking like as you build it. So you can hear it's got the creature count, lands count, and it's essentially the criteria that you use to evaluate your deck. It's not perfect, and I'll tell you why in a moment, but it gives you a nice rough indication of how your deck building is going. Right beside that, we have a bunch of filters essentially. So I had already cracked my cards, cracked my packs and got my cards. So this just lets you sort through your collection that's outside of your deck. And that is pretty much represented up in this top half of the main portion of the builder here. There are 101 cards in the pool, and the rest have been shoved into my deck down here. So we can filter by rarity, we can filter by type of card, whether it's creatures, spells, whatnot, color, and cost. Really cool way to just sort out your cards. Probably the least important one I'd say is the rarity, and the most important in terms of just getting to the good stuff is maybe the type and the cost. And of course color, but in a sense you have the color filter here as well. So for example, I build a white and red deck, so I want to see what else I have in those two colors of mana. So I have white selected here, and I can use the arrow keys to cycle through, see all my white cards. Now I have them organized up above by cost. So here's my most expensive spell in white, and then see what are 1 mana. Yes, the Suntail Hawk. I got plenty of these during the campaign. But let's say we also want to look at the red in my collection. So now we click on the red mana icon, and now we have all my red cards placed in here, and they're sorted by their cost, so they're kind of mixed in with the white cards now. So if we wanted to actually separate things out even more, then we got this going on. Pretty good overall in terms of functionality. The thing that kind of stings is that these sorting options for your card collection are not available for your actual deck. Now the deck view is right below here. Just highlight one of the cards and I can go through. Now this is my actual deck that I used throughout the campaign. Now of course it changed quite a bit from the start compared to what the deck looked like at the final duel that I played in the Seal campaign. But it would have been great to actually have some kind of sorting mechanism for my deck as well. As it stands, you're dealing with only 40 cards compared to 101, 100 plus, right, in your collection. So it wasn't as big of a deal, I suppose, and I guess it was like a strategic decision they made on their part in order to just gotta cut the amount of things that fit on this screen. Now here's something else that players of previous Duels of the Planeswalkers will really like, and it's almost like a anti-climax here, but check this out. This shows your lands that you have in your deck. I'm gonna click it now, and whoa! You can now adjust the number of lands you have in your deck. And that's right, boys and girls. We're looking at a Brave New World here. So I can actually just zero out all my lands. Actually, that was just my mountains, right? Sorry. So yeah, 0 lands in my deck, and the deck builder will not complain about it unless you try to save and exit. See, there's no more lands. So we're going to return, and we're going to put back our lands. So you're probably thinking, so what? If you're new to the Magic series, this might seem like a big whoop-de-doo. Previous versions of the game, you were not able to adjust lands. Lands were locked in all the decks. So this is actually a really big step in the right direction for the series. Magic Duels of the Planeswalkers has always been a product targeted towards newbies. So to actually add this feature and this whole deck building feature in sealed play is kind of like they're kind of creeping along towards a more, you know, mid-core, hardcore Magic audience, ever so slightly. You know, when you come in here and build your deck, by letting you adjust the lands like this, they're really just giving you more rope to potentially hang yourself with. Of course, luckily, you know, you can't go into the sealed campaign or go into a match with 0 lands in your deck. That's totally under your control, and you're not going to get yourself screwed. But if you put too few lands in your deck, that's still going to be a problem. So I just want to point out, there's an auto adjust land option where it just looks at your deck composition and then tries to calculate, well, what's the best amount of land to give you. And it's worked okay. I think somewhere else there is even like an auto build the entire deck. I think it's right here, deck options, autocomplete. And there's a reset deck. Maybe we won't do that with this deck right now, but when we crack open the packs for the second sealed deck slot, we can try that out. But yeah, here you can see they just added 1 extra land to my deck, and it really has no scruples with adding enough lands, even if you go over the 40 card minimum. And in most cases, you just want to stick as close to the 40 card minimum as possible. So I don't want that Action Mountain. I think I'll be fine without it. So confirm, we got a nice lean deck. And yeah, while I was building this deck earlier, before I went through the entire campaign, I did the autocomplete land, and it maybe added like 5 lands to my deck or something, but it ballooned my deck to like 45, 46 cards. It was not something I wanted to rely on. And so just to wrap up the summary here of the deck builder interface, we've got the mana curve down here of your deck. It'll show you how many cards at each cost level you have, which is really useful, extremely useful when you're trying to tune your deck. You generally want to go for this sort of bell curve like pattern. You don't want to have too many low cost cards, you don't want to have too many super high cost cards. You really want to find that middle ground, that sweet spot of 2, 3, and 4 mana cost cards to really see you through a match. And then on the left here we have the what is this actually? Let's find out again. I kind of lost my train of thought. Alright, so right here it's the card types. How many of each color of card your deck is made up of. And so of course they give you a little tip saying that it's best to keep your deck to 2 or 3 colors. Hell, you might even be able to do a monocolored deck in sealed play. So this was a nice little help screen they included. And the gear button here is deck options, where you can save, do the auto build for your deck, or just reset the deck outright. The shame about this thing is like you do save changes, and it feels like you just clicked the dead button. There's no real indication that it did anything, which is kind of odd, right? You just click it, it kind of flashes a bit. Sort of sloppy. Overall, this interface worked decently. Again, it would have been nice to have some sorting functions for your deck. But overall, they did a pretty good job. I don't know how I can get my deck strength to maximum. I don't know what the status of that would be. But this is what my deck looks like. The one that I built in my first go at the campaign. Very simple, red, white. Lots of a little bit of direct damage. A lot of low-cost creatures, as you might expect. But yeah, generally pretty creature focused, and just trying to get creatures up quickly, overwhelm my opponent, and maybe even finish them off with a larger creature like the Shivan Dragon here. So yeah, let's say we've tinkered enough with our deck, then it's on to the sealed deck campaign. So I already went through this entire thing. A good thing to do, they have a test match here, where it's essentially just like an encounter that you would play in the regular campaign. A very simple deck. In this case, this deck would just pump out these Suntail Hawks endlessly, and if you had trouble beating that deck, you didn't have an answer for all those birds coming at you, then it's probably time to go back into the deck builder and do some tweaking. Then from there is just a straight up series of matches with different Planeswalkers. And yeah, generally it was a good time. It was over a little bit too quickly for my taste, and it didn't seem... You don't see it here now, but you actually do get a chance to earn 3 more booster packs during this campaign. You earn your first one beating Chandra here. Your next one I think was earned beating the 3rd opponent, and the final one you win by beating the 5th. And so that's a nice little bonus to work towards, as you know, your deck is not... You're probably not a top shelf sealed deck when you first start the campaign, and then getting the option to just crack even the first pack really open up the options, and I could actually put some better cards in my deck that's more cohesive in the end. We're not going to play a match with this deck. I'm actually gonna show you what it all looks like from the very beginning. So we're gonna use the next available slot here. There are options for you to buy more of these sealed slots. I believe they cost 99 cents each, and you can buy a pack of them for about $7 or $8. In my opinion, I think having just 2 is fine to start. The card pool that's available from these booster packs is only about 150 cards, which is really small when you compare it to a regular core release from Magic, which is typically about 250 cards, if not more. So the pool of cards I have in this game is about 60% that of a regular Magic release. And during the course of my first campaign playthrough, I felt like I did get a pretty good idea of what cards were in that universe. I could see what kind of deck could be made, and I think just doing another round of it here would be enough for me. Because you know what? You can take a deck you've already created, tinker around with it to your heart's delight, and just play the same campaign over again using your new deck concept. And there's some replay value in that. The booster unlocks are gone. Like once you get them, they're gone. You'd have to start up a new sealed deck slot as well to get those 3 booster pack rewards. All right, let's just get in there and create a new deck. All right, so here they show you your 6 booster packs that you're going to crack open. You have the option to just speed everything up and click this. It unwraps all your cards and it immediately dumps you into the deck builder interface. Kind of, for me, that kind of defeats the anticipation and drama that you get with cracking open each individual pack. For longtime Magic players, I'm sure they can relate to me when I say this. Cracking open a pack of boosters is its own special experience. And I'm gonna crack the first one now to kind of show you how they kind of missed the mark in capturing that experience that you get in real life. So let me crack this first one here. Wrapper comes off, and blah. I don't know about you, but this is not how I crack open my booster packs in real life. I generally just have them sorted out in the order that they were packaged in, and I look at them sequentially, or I just skip right to the end to check out what uncommons, rares, and mythics that I got in my pack. Here they just kind of like dumped out all the cards on the table, on the virtual table, and it's a little messy. Not the greatest way to do it. The sort of specialness of opening a booster pack not quite recaptured here in digital form. You know what would have been nice too would be to have some sorting options here. And again, it goes back to displaying the cards in an orderly fashion, having them say in the order of commons on the left all the way to the rare or mythic at the end on the far right. You know, just put a little bit more effort into making this screen more functional. Alright, so this is what we got. I'm not gonna pick through and talk about each card that I get. I think we will have plenty of time to do that once we get into the deck builder. So let's move on to the next booster. So here it shows all the cards going into my collection, and the next pack has been cracked. Let's look at our rare card actually. Overwhelming Stampede, 3 and 2 green. Sorcery. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Fantastic green card, especially if you're doing all green. This would be a home run, a nice game finisher for sure. And yeah, we're not gonna focus too much on each individual card at this point. Next booster pack. Let's look at our rare. Day of Judgment. It's what you call a Wrath card. Destroy all creatures. Nice and simple. Alright. Next booster. Blah. Alright. Nice. Now this is an oldie but goodie. I remember when I first started playing Magic in the 90s. This was one of my favorite black creatures. So yeah, they've reprinted this card a few times over the last 20 years, and I guess they're doing it once again for the Magic 2014 release that's gonna come out later in July. Cool. Two more packs to go. And another one of these guys. Yeah, as soon as I saw this, I was thinking about my first sealed deck, which is the red and white one that I showed you earlier. Now I have a couple of these Earthquakes in that deck, and I've got a third one here now, but there is no transferring of cards from one deck slot to another. So each deck, you can think of it's its own self-contained card universe. And I can understand why they did that, of course. They didn't want to give you too much flexibility and create this weird metagame where, you know, someone who has access to 5 card slots could just continually just funnel the best cards from his booster packs over to one single deck and make that a, you know, some kind of uber deck that dominates people online. Play balance, obviously a concern all the time. And we have our final booster pack. And oh, we have an artifact. Jinxed Idol. At the beginning of your upkeep, Jinxed Idol deals 2 damage to you. Ouch. But you sacrifice a creature, target opponent gains control of Jinxed Idol. Well, that's kind of cute. That's a cute effect. So, you know, I've been looking, just glancing at these boosters. I have no idea what my deck is going to be. I don't know what colors are going to go into, but you know, that's part of the fun of doing sealed and playing any sort of limited format of Magic. So here we are on the deck builder. We're starting from scratch. Let's do all this fancy stuff later, like naming the deck or choosing my box art. Rarity, I do not care about rarity. You're really just looking for the best cards to put in a deck. They're going to function, being able to cast them with some regularity and consistency, and they're going to have some synergies with your other cards. You know, it's really a wrong move to take a really rare card that you've cracked and try to build an entire deck around that one rare. Definitely possible, but it's not something I would recommend most of the time. Alright. We seem to have the most cards in green and red. So why don't we focus on those cards first and see what we have here. And we're going to sort by cost. So already we got, okay, I'll blow these up so we can look at them more clearly. Shock, some direct damage, some mass damage. That will actually hurt myself as well if I'm not careful. But this is going to promote, you know, this is going to encourage me to put more flying creatures into my deck if I want to use this. A nice squishy, high damage dealing creature here. Sliver. Slivers are maybe going to come back. But so far I haven't been too impressed with how these sliver cards have come out. At least the ones I've seen in sealed play. You know, this time around I've got 3 of these. In my previous sealed play deck I only got 1 of these, and I got a bunch of the other white ones, the ones that have vigilance. Slaughter Cry. Not bad. Nice combat trick. Some nice flexible burn. Create some tokens. Very offensive minded creature here. Land Destruction. Just a big elemental beater. Yeah. You know, I'm feeling good about the red cards. It's not a bad bunch of cards here, so I'm just gonna bring in the green cards. You know, I almost made a red and green deck last time around. But the pool of cards I got in green Magic just wasn't quite there. What's going on here? Oh, I see. Oh, they really just mix it up here, so I wanted to actually do it like this. Yeah. So we got a Fog. Oh, another Sliver. You know, this Sliver thing could actually start to look good right about now. So yeah, I'm really just focused on maybe doing a 2-color deck. Although there's nothing stopping you from trying 3 or 4 colors. Myself, I've traditionally just stuck with the 2 colors. Maybe splashing in a 3rd color, just ever slightly. I like to kind of focus in on one method of attack, I guess. And the 2 colors is usually given me plenty of options to build a pretty strong deck. So Rampant Growth is pretty good. Beastmaster dude here. A bunch of these boars. Really good enchantment for creatures. This guy's nice. Okay, so let's just get to quickly hashing together a quick deck here. Just to kind of do our due diligence, let's just take a quick peek at the other colors we got. It's nice. Black's looking decent, though nothing amazing, and we just didn't really get a lot of cards to start off with. A lot of expensive cards in black, and yeah, it's alright. Blue. Okay. A lot of card advantage, card trickery with the blue cards here. Here's a big creature they have, Island Walk. Powerful, but a little awkward to get moving. Kind of situational. Alright, I'm not too thrilled with blue. We do have a number of non-colored cards. We have a Kite Shield. We have a special land. This is a fetch land, so this is actually going to be quite useful. I'm probably going to put this in my deck. This Jinx Idol, where you kind of pass the hot potato around to other players. And we have Staff of the Wild Magus, is that how you pronounce it? Whenever you cast a green spell or forest enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Now if I go with green, this is a nice little addition to top off my deck. So yeah, let's just do a green and red deck. Alright, let's not spend too much time agonizing how to construct our deck. But yeah, we'll kind of start with building out our mana curve. So Shock's always going to be nice to have some direct damage. Let's put in the Earthquake for now, although I didn't see a lot of flying creatures that I could use, so it may end up hurting me more than it needs to. Decent 2-drop here. I used this guy before, and when it came down to actually playing matches, I didn't actually play him. It's that great an effect. Sliver. Let's get him in there. This is nice. Death Touch and Reach. Yes, please. So as you're adding in cards to your deck, it's going to give you a creature count and a land count. Oddly enough, it doesn't count the number of sorceries or enchantments you have. I guess they don't really bother to overload you with that sort of information, although I do think it's rather important. Here we have a creature enchantment. Fantastic. Usually I don't use a lot of creature enchantments. They kind of put your creatures at high risk for being destroyed, and you lose that on 2 cards. But in a limited environment, creature enchantments can be very, very powerful. They can really turn the tide of a match in an instant. Anti-flying. Yes, definitely want to be able to grab lands for my deck when I need them, and it's only going to cost me 2 mana for sure. This guy might be cute to have. Maybe just put 1 in. More slivers. Now this guy, I have 3 of these red slivers, these blur slivers. And if this guy just came out alone, by default he would have haste because he himself is a sliver, and he gives sliver creatures I control haste. But we also have that green sliver I put in moments ago. Where is he? Here he is. He is the predatory sliver, and so he's going to get haste if I have one of my blur slivers out. As well, my blur sliver is going to benefit from this guy's bonus, which is sliver creatures you control get +1/+1. It's all about the synergies here. So let's just go the sliver route. Put a whole bunch of them. Put all of them in. Advocate of the Beast. Did I put in the Beast from my red Oh, he's probably coming up. Yeah, he's coming up. So where was he? I'll put this guy in for now. Put in a boar. Put in a couple. The life gain will be useful. I will save. I just want to focus on the red and green cards right now. So if I need to top up my deck with something, I'll add in artifacts. First Strike is fantastic, especially when you pump a creature by 3 power. Yeah, it gets kind of scary. More direct damage, very useful. Now, this looks pretty good. I only hesitate because when a card has two, when it asks you to have 2 of the same mana color, it does introduce some problems if you're not getting the land draws that you need during a match. But seeing as it's just 2 red and 1 generic, shouldn't be too bad. Now here's the guy who's gonna benefit from having that elf, the Advocate of the Beast, in play. With that elf in play, this guy does not have to attack each combat phase. So you can actually use him a little bit more strategically. I like the look of this guy, being able to cast him, being able to summon this creature as if it were an instant, and then he pumps in a creature +2/+2 until the end of the turn. That's solid. And here we're getting to really big creatures. This guy is pretty vanilla. For 4 mana, you're getting a 4/4, and he's got more demanding casting costs with the 2 green. I want to put in at least 1. Not concerned about land destruction. Hunt of the Week? Yes. You can bully an opponent's creature. Okay, as you can see here, we have 27 cards already in this deck. Good number of creatures. We are getting close. Actually, with the 40 card limit, we are actually. I would think we're at our limit for putting in spells. So let me just look through what I sort of ignored until now. Everyone gets double strike until end of turn. That's pretty sweet. This is pretty good. Very expensive, but deals out 5 damage, which is a ton, and it destroys any equipment attached to that creature. Of course, we saw this one earlier. This is pretty badass. Yeah, all very impressive cards, but with a very high casting cost. This guy would be awesome if I were just going mono red. Now, he's still going to be pretty solid if I'm able to cast them on turn, say, 6 or 7. And I probably have, at that point, 3 or 4 mountains in play. He's going to be pretty tough. But, you know, it's just affecting his toughness, which is kind of odd for a red creature to get their toughness boosted. I'll probably pass on him. I actually need to cull some cards from my deck, I think. So, a rule of thumb with your 40 card deck is you're looking at putting in 15 to 16 land total. So at this point, I've got 14 red spells and 12 green spells. So kind of even it up here. Probably want to put in something like this for now. Now this takes me over. So if I can cut 2 cards, we'd be in a good spot here. Now, the analyzer is already telling me I have a pretty strong deck. Let's see what they say. I meet the requirement of 14 something creatures. I'm short on the lands. Yeah, they seem to skew towards having more lands. Even when you're using the pre-constructed decks, they're gonna tell you to have something like 25 or 26 lands, which is too many in my opinion. And yeah, we're not at that 40 card minimum yet. This deck is totally playable if I want to take it into a match right now. It's just that I as with anything else, you know, it could do with an edit, and I could probably cut the fat from this deck. So that's such 2 cards. So let's go back to this guy. Don't have anything that flies, so I'm really not going to get the most out of this spell. So it's cut. This guy, I was talking about this guy earlier, about how it was nice to have a 2-drop, a 2/1. But the times I played him, I haven't been able to use his ability here, which is to prevent a creature on the other side from not blocking, so. Sure, don't want to keep that guy. I'm also not a huge fan of this guy. Maybe I'll keep that goblin. Get rid of this guy. And let's just go with this. Oh, I've actually down a creature from their 14 creature minimum, see? So my deck is still just strong. That's okay. As you unlock more cards in the campaign, you'll be able to, you know, maybe I'll get rid of this guy and I'll swap him out with something else. Do I want to get the life gain from this artifact? We got those boars. A fog? A fog's a fog. It's not a big deal. So right here, right now, I'm showing you sort of like the 50% of the Magic experience that's really important. That's just sitting here with all your cards. You're just trying to build something that is A, strong, it's going to be a competitive deck, and B, it's fun to play. Sometimes you come across an interesting theme, or you come across interesting card combos and synergies. This is really the meat of Magic, and the other half, of course, is playing the deck. So to have this aspect of Magic missing from previous versions of Duels of the Planeswalkers, to see it now really puts into perspective how lacking, you could almost say, how lacking the previous version of this game was. I'm sort of stuck right now. You can get some analysis paralysis sometimes when you're doing a deck, building decks, and I wouldn't call myself an expert in doing sealed games. Okay, maybe I just need to put in one more creature and then call it a day here. Put on a boar. Put on just like a big scary guy. I'm not gonna take a chance for that enchantment, but maybe we can, yeah, a big scary guy. Alrighty. Oh, before we save, let's give our deck a name.